welcome, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Remixing Politics and Culture with me, your host, Pam. Thank you so much for joining me this Sunday evening. And it's a holiday weekend at that. And so I'm especially grateful to my special guest and to you for tuning in to listen and get knowledgeable about this subject matter that we're going to discuss. I am a public relations and marketing professional who just happens to have a passion for social justice, voter advocacy, and culture. And tonight, we have the one and only legendary professor of law, Joyner, and he's going to help us tonight sort out all of the legal drama of Trump and his gang of 18, and that's what I'm calling them, Trump and his gang of 18, with his 4 indictments and 91 felonies. 44 of them are federal and 47 are state charges. Of course, Trump proclaims that he has denied any wrongdoing, and he says that this is still a witch hunt, a political attack on him and the GOP against their leader. On top of this Trump debacle with the law, we also have civil rights, particularly education, being eroded. We have book bans and a ban on whose history can be taught and how. And on top of that, we also have an increase in racial violence, both physically and in hate speech. And if you want to be real truthful about it, and in what GOPs are doing across this country as state legislators. Okay, so to get us all together on all of these issues, our friend and scholar, Professor Joyner, is with us. He is the Charles Hamilton Houston Endowed Chair at the North Carolina Central University School of Law. And I'm bringing him up there. There he is. Welcome back to the program, Professor Joyner.
Okay, thank you for having me, and thank you for the invitation to join in these discussions.
Absolutely, anytime. Listen, the last time that you were on the show, I was asking you, I was really begging you, when would Trump be held accountable for all of the things that we could see, a blind man could see, a blind and deaf man could see. And so now it appears, Professor Joyner, that the time is here. So what are you thinking as a jurist about this legal conundrum that faces our nation? What are your thoughts?
Well, these are all cases of first impression, in the sense that never before in American history has a former president, been charged with this array of criminal penalties, criminal offenses, and offenses directed toward the maintenance of the very Constitution of the United States that the president is sworn to uphold and to honor. And it certainly appears that there were efforts underway to undermine the constitutional rules of order and the Constitution itself, to disregard what the protections are that are within those documents, both at the federal level and at the state level. So this is very unique, very different. It is historic, and we are living in a very difficult time for everyone, where the very strictures or structures of democracy are under attack. And depending on how these things work out will depend on where this democracy goes. For African
Right.
Americans, democracy has always been an issue and a concern, and we've always fought that this democracy ought to be applied to us as is guaranteed under the Constitution. But now we are facing a new and different threat, and we have to figure out how to best respond to it as we observe things that are going on involving us,
Mhm.
in which we have people who are intimately involved, and but the end result is that this effort is directed toward further undermining the African American community and those communities in which people of color reside.
So, Professor Joyner, I don't know why I'm getting that feedback. Hmm, I don't know what to do. Okay. Do you have on another on the another channel or anything you have on your phone or anything?
I don't.
I don't. Okay, maybe let me cut off my phone. Maybe that'll help me. Okay. I was going to ask you. Hold on. Professor Joyner. Hey guys, we're back. We had a technical that. Hey, it's Mercury retrograde. That's all I can say to you guys right now. I just when I cut my phone off, I cut off my internet connection. Long story. Professor Joyner, I'm gonna circle back to you on this question. I said that now that some of the attorneys are seeking a speedy trial, while Trump's strategy is always to drag things out for as long as possible. How does that even work out between Jack Smith, Bonnie Willis, and even Letitia James? How do you even balance all of that?
Well, it's going to be difficult to balance everything. The court system is already uh, uh, very congested, whether we're talking about at the state level or at the federal level. But to a large extent, the prosecutors carry a big stick in making determinations as to when trials will start. And I would assume that there will be some coordination
Mm-hmm,
between the various prosecutorial agencies in scheduling these trials.
mm-hmm,
And in the end, I'm I conclude I'm fairly certain that they will be handled in a very orderly and expedient manner for the federal government and for the state
Mhm,
prosecutors. I don't know if that's going to be the case from the viewpoint of Donald Trump,
mhm,
because he is going to be inundated
mhm.
with these various trials going forward, and none of them are simple and handled in a short period of time. So
Right.
for him, I would think that there's going to be a very busy year or two ahead of him as he worked through these prosecutions.
Well, one of the things that I thought was so interesting, two things actually. One that we do have in our favor we the people is that the trial in Georgia will be televised. So that's a good thing. And then the other thing is that Fonnie Willis is not new to this. She's true to this. So I think that everybody is saying, she spent over 2.5 years already um putting all of this together and all of these witnesses and stuff. So the guy that said, "Oh, I want a quick and speedy trial," well, she's ready. She's already ready. You know, so I don't know. I think that they might have done that to think, oh well, we'll show them. Pull like a bluff, and it really wasn't a very calculated bluff, so to speak. Um, but
You know,
go ahead, Professor Joyner.
no, I was just going to say, I would think that that she has her ducks in a row. She
Mm-hmm.
has handled these type cases before,
Mm-hmm.
particularly with the RICO uh,
Yeah.
component
Mm-hmm.
in Georgia with other defendants. She is a seasoned prosecutor. She is very sharp, and having had this 2.5 years to put witnesses together and develop her evidence, I would think that at any point she's
Mm-hmm.
ready to move forward. And I think that her moving forward will be done in a very aggressive manner.
Mm-hmm.
Because my impression of her is that she doesn't play.
No, no, I don't think so either. I don't think so either at all. So, and one of our guests in the audience had a question about the 14th Amendment, but we're not quite there to that question yet in the line of how I've kind of organized things just yet. So, also, Professor Joyner, some of Trump's felonies are said to be punishable for up to 20 years. Realistically, come on, even if he were to get 5 years or 10 years in jail, punishable by prison, who's going to lock him up with the Secret Service? What Secret Service detail is going to, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we've never had anything like this. And so, or less they can take away his Secret Service, does he lose all of his rights as a former president? Do we not have to, as the taxpayers, have to pay for that too? You know?
Well, I think we need to take one thing at a time. First of all, we need to deal with the trial and
Uh-huh.
to determine if there is going to be a conviction. We have four different juries that will make that decision. And one of the things that I'm sure of is that if he is convicted, that the court will be able to find an appropriate sentence or
Mhm,
sentences, and the Department of Corrections, whether it's at the state level or at the federal level, will find a way that he will be incarcerated in a manner that will protect him from those individuals who are already there. So the Secret Service will not be an issue in the event that he is convicted of a crime.
mhm, mm. So, along my line of questioning for you, Professor Trump, is there any way for we the people to stop Trump from getting his pension, which is our tax dollars? I mean, I know that we haven't had anything like this before, but can't somebody offer some legislation so that we could stop that? even?
Well, I think on that end, and I haven't looked at that either at the state level or at the federal level, and this would be a federal determination
Mm-hmm,
that a judge of with jurisdiction to handle these cases can make that determination about the availability of a pension
mm-hmm,
for him, not that based on his bragging that he needs it. And if you're in prison, you really don't need a lot of money anyway.
mm-hmm.
But there are provisions that will deal with this notion of pensions and things of that nature.
Okay. But he has to be convicted or something first before we get into that, you think?
Yes, yes, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, until such time as there has been some determination of criminal wrongdoing, then
Mm-hmm,
he is entitled to all of the benefits that would accrue to any other citizen who's
mm-hmm.
placed in a similar situation.
Okay. All right. So, Loretta, I'm getting around to your question now. So, we the people need to prevent Trump from even running for office. I just find it ludicrous that any individual with 91 pending felony charges is allowed to run for even the dog catcher. Okay. No one, no one, Professor Joyner, who had that many felonies or whatever, or pending felonies, would even be able to be employed. And that's when Loretta had this question up, because this is something that's all a buzz in the news. She's asking, why aren't the Democrats pushing the 14th Amendment, Section 3?
Quite frankly, I don't know. I know that there is a vague provision in the 14th Amendment that says that a person who has been engaged in an insurrection or uprising against the government will lose their ability to run for office. It is something that grew out of the Civil War,
Mm-hmm,
where after the Civil War there was a prohibition on those individuals who had participated as a part of the Confederate States of the South
mm-hmm,
and attacked the United States, that they could not be engaged in politics in
mm-hmm,
the various states. And that those determinations did not require a conviction for any of them. And so I don't see any reason why that would not apply
mm-hmm.
in this situation, but it's never been tested before as it relates to the activities of a former president and
Right.
what it is that he can do, or if there is some legal determination that this was an uprising against the federal government.
Mm-hmm,
And there are a lot of legal questions about that will have to be resolved. And I would think that in a final analysis, it's going to have to be decided by the U.S. Supreme Court. So it's going to be an interesting journey that we're engaged in to see exactly how the various courts are going to deal with that issue. Already there are challenges at various state levels
yeah.
as to whether he can be placed on the ballot
Right.
in those in those states, and
Mm-hmm,
so the outcome of that is going to be very interesting. So there are a lot of things that we just don't know from the
mm-hmm,
legal perspective. From the
mm-hmm,
political perspective, now you have to always remember here that Donald Trump is the angel of the Republican Party,
mm-hmm,
and that every poll that's been announced thus far indicates that roughly 60 to 70% of the Republicans are supporting him and will go out and vote for him, and some will even engage in uh, uh, armed reactions to what is going on, as did occur on January the 6th. So there are a lot of unknowns, and we have to kind of wait and see. And these things will be handled, I think, in a step-by-step manner.
Professor Joyner. All right.
Well,
Another.
let me say this. For those people who are really upset about what is happening and what is being projected, they
Mhm,
need to make sure that they are in their communities getting
mhm,
people registered to vote so that they can go out and vote so
right.
that those individuals who want to keep him in office are not successful in
Mhm,
doing that. So while
right.
we express our anger verbally about it, we need some action. And that
Exactly.
action has to do with getting people registered, motivated, and organized so that at an appropriate point, they will go out and vote to make sure that these things that they fear will not become a reality because, they're directed toward us in the final analysis.
Hmm. Hmm. Stephen says, if Ford had not pardoned Nixon, do you believe we would be where we are with respect to Trump's legal situation?
Uh, yeah, I would think that we would not because that would have created some precedent then that would kind of inform where
Hmm.
we are today.
Hmm.
In the absence of that, we are building on a clean slate, and we have to see where the court goes. And at this point, I don't think that a lot of the judicial officials are really clear on
Hmm.
what the law is. And in the final analysis, when we talk about the federal government, the final arbitrator,
Hmm.
the final arbiter of all of that will be the U.S. Supreme Court, which is full of Trump supporters.
Yeah, yeah, it's too much, and that's a whole nother show when you consider all the mess that the Supreme Court is in right now with, with the special favors and the yacht trips and the that trip and another trip. It's a bit much, a bit much. Thank you, Stephen, for that. Um, Here's another comment here before we shift into the erosion of civil rights. This person's Shauna Breeley says that I think there is a healthy fear of Trump followers. Could repercussion be why there is no push? The fear of repercussion from Trump followers. In other words, I guess she's probably piggybacking on the question of whether or not is that why the Democrats aren't more forceful in what they're saying or doing. But I mean, I, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think that there is a fear of the reactions of Trump followers
Hmm.
because some of them have already demonstrated that they are willing to go to war
Yeah.
against the federal government
Hmm.
in response to protecting
Hmm.
Donald Trump. So I would think that going forward, that there would be a healthy um, reluctance on the part of many people to come out and attack him, although there are many people who are coming out to attack him
Yeah.
on many different levels. So
Hmm.
for some, I think that is true. And some of the Democrats don't want to, I guess, what you call beat a dead horse
Yeah.
at this point and further inflame the situation. I just know that from my vantage point, that if we are not organizing our people and
Hmm.
those people who would be our allies and partners in this effort to get people out to vote so
Hmm.
that they will actually go out and vote, because there is a concentrated campaign in just about every state in this country
Hmm.
to undermine the
Right.
ability to vote on any number of different grounds,
And
and we
that's
have to fight back against that.
right, absolutely. So that's the perfect time for us to shift now, Professor Joyner, into the erosion of civil rights. And I'm calling that the erosion of civil rights, the privatizing of public school funds is taking money away, the public dollars away, what was earmarked for public schools. I feel is a step towards eroding civil rights, the very thing that Thurgood Marshall and the endowed chaired name that you hold there at North Carolina Central strategized for, and Brown versus the Board of Education, banning books and so on, and and as another addition onto that just happened, that's made world news now, is our own North Carolina Supreme Court Justice Anita Earls having one of two blacks that still remains on the Supreme Court of North Carolina has had to file a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Because because of her marks about diversity, and I have a clip on that. But what can we do, Professor, to reverse this trend on this erosion of civil rights?
Well, and I don't want to beat a dead horse about this.
You can beat it.
Let me start with this. We had the Chief Justice who ran to be reelected as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court against the present Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. And she lost by 400 votes in North Carolina.
That's Sherry Beasley people.
Yeah. And had our people, particularly those down east, come out to vote, we would not be in the situation that we are in today. And I say that not in terms of chastising, but in terms of informing and educating. That the heart of what it is that we have to do is to gain and maximize our political power such that we can keep some of those people out of office that are presently in office and are there for the sole purpose of undermining us. And we need to take that seriously, that there is a campaign all over this country, in most states in this country, to undermine the ability of African Americans to participate in the political franchise, to undermine the ability of people of color to participate in the political franchise, and the lessening or diminishing of our power, our political power, operates to our disadvantage, and that's why the destruction of civil rights in this country is escalating. And until we have a strong bulwark against these actions by these people who are in office in terms of getting them out of office, then we are in a very precarious situation as a people.
Absolutely. I'm about to put the link in the chat for those of you who have a question that might be a little bit long-winded that you don't want to type versus texting. I'm putting the link in so that you can. I'm putting it in again. It was already in there. There it is. So if you'd like to come up, you can click on the link and I can see you backstage and I'll let you come up to speak if you'd like. Mark Lee said there are some who are trying to run as a third party. Of course, we know that. And I think that's always that was the big thing that happened in the Al Gore situation, Bush versus Gore. We had Ralph Nader come in with his third party thing, and then the Supreme Court decided Bush won that. So here we go.
Yeah. Well, this notion of a third party is something that has been with us forever and ever and ever. The Democrats and Republicans, they have a monopoly on the political franchise. And you
Mm-hmm.
have to give some serious thought as to how do you consolidate votes and voting power to resist the larger evil, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to promoting a campaign at this point
Mm-hmm.
that might be disadvantaged to that.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody has a right, and every group and organization has a right to create a third party, and there are
Right.
several that's out there. The Constitution allows it, and to the extent that people wish to do it, then they should. But they
Mm-hmm.
should do it only after they have given serious consideration to what the
Mm-hmm.
overall impact is going to be, and what is the major issue and
Mm-hmm.
major enemies that we have to deal with at this point.
Right.
And having said that, I'll leave it open for people to make their own decisions about it. I just know that if we don't have some concentrated political participation geared
Exactly.
toward getting those people out of office that are presently running our governments at the state level and at the and seeking to do it at the federal level, that we're going to be in trouble.
Because we're already in trouble. Listen, the reason why North Carolina is in the jam that we're in was when we had the midterm vote when Obama was in office and people didn't turn out. And then the Republicans were able to take over the state legislature for the first time, I think they said in 100 years.
Yeah,
And we are still dealing with the repercussions of that takeover. And it has been a mess. And we won't even mention what Ms. Cawthorn did to give them the supermajority, violating all of the votes that she had won as a Democrat, switching to a Republican in North Carolina. And so, for so long, I felt that North Carolina was holding the line in the South. And we're barely holding on, barely, barely, barely. Um,
yeah.
listen,
The line is holding us.
Listen, guys, I dropped the chat link in there. So if you want to come up to ask your questions versus text, you can. And even if you don't want to turn your camera on, if I know you, it's okay. Because I think I know everybody in the chat. Loretta says she has two theories that they will try to claim the votes are not legitimate. Of course, they're going to do all kinds of crazy stuff. Stephen Valentine, Professor Joyner, people don't believe things can return to pre-civil rights America. What are your thoughts? Oh, look, we were just gonna transition into that next, Stephen.
Yeah, well, I think Stephen is on point.
Yeah.
Things can easily change back to what they used to be. If you look at the history
Mm-hmm.
around the overthrow of Reconstruction,
Oh,
you
yeah.
will find that the exact same type conduct
Mm-hmm.
that occurred in those days that led up to the inauguration of Jim Crow
Mm-hmm.
are happening today.
Yes.
And it's almost like they are in lockstep,
Right.
uh, designed to inflame the populace
Mm-hmm.
against certain segments of the population. So
Mm-hmm.
those things that are going on today are
Mm-hmm.
not new in
No.
this country. They're just replays.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been so devoid of knowledge of our history that we're missing the point, and we're
Exactly.
missing the actions that they are engaged in and the probable consequences of that. We
Mm-hmm.
always have to remember that we are a minority
Mm-hmm.
in a land that was not our own and
Mm-hmm.
in a government that didn't want us in the first place.
That's right. And a government that didn't want us in the first place. And a constitution that we keep quoting that was not written for us in mind at all, nor was it in mind for women, It was in mind for wealthy white men, landowners.
And we need to remember that.
Yeah.
We need to remember that. And they are fighting to take their country back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what MAGA is all about.
That's right.
Taking our country back.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark says not just targeting us, but also targeting our brown brothers. Migration and sanctuary cities are being threatened. Yeah, well, that's an understatement. I think sometimes we African Americans are not as serious about this as other races. You know what? We're too drunk with thinking about the next rap song that just talks about. Don't get me started, but I don't have to go down there because I'll go down that rabbit hole because we're too busy thinking about material things and partying and can we get legalized and all of this kind of foolishness. I mean, I just need for us to get like we used to be. And I don't know, our families are so fractured and stuff now, and your family is the foundation of your community. And when you don't have that intact, it just makes things very difficult to organize and do things. I just, you know,
Well,
second,
the time is now. I
yeah,
mean, it can't be any clearer, I think, than it
hmm
is right now when we look out on the
hmm
horizon and we see what is going on. And people today, they're not hiding what
no,
it is that they are doing. The
no,
problem is that there are so many of us that can't see.
I
We
don't know.
have
Is it that we can't see Professor Joyner, or is it that we don't want to see? Is
we
are
don't
we
want to see or can't see.
too drunk and acting stupid? Because I had a discussion with the sister today after church, and we were talking about we were talking about these young black men who are all for Trump, and I said, you know, my theory on that is that Trump is like a gangster. You know, he's bad. He's rough. He's tough. He talks all of this, you know, bravado. And I really think that because our society is so hooked on this toxic masculinity type of thing, that he appeals to them, and they don't think strategically. They're just thinking about that appeal, and not that he couldn't hear anything about you, or and they don't understand policy and all of that, but they're just going by imagery, you know.
Well, I read a lot of history.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I know is that during the enslavement period, that there were many uh, people of African origins who were used to maintain the
Yeah.
enslavement of our people.
Mm-hmm.
After that period, that there were some who were opposed to
Mm-hmm.
the freedom which we saw, the empowerment that we saw, the ability to uh, educate and progress
Mm-hmm.
in this society. So there are some that will always be there that will go to the other side for whatever reason. What we need to do is to focus on those who are willing, able, knowledgeable about, and ready to push for the betterment of and protection of our people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Other racial minorities tend to stick together
Mm-hmm.
in these type situations. We need to lock arms with them, but before we do that, we need to lock arms with ourselves, so
Mm-hmm.
that we are together as a people, and then move forward with those who are ready to move forward.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Listen, one last question. Oh, Loretta made a theory about the creating issues between black and brown communities and vote sway. Of course, of course. Um, Mark asks, do you ever think that they'll impose an age limit for political office?
Well, other than the ones that already exist,
Mm-hmm.
I think that that will probably be it. And it's really minimal. You know, you're talking about if you can vote, you can run. That's 18 years of age. To be a candidate for president, you have to be 35.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, there are no age limits because in this so-called democratic society, people have the freedom to participate in the political franchise and in all aspects of social and governmental life that we have. But I don't think that there will be any imposition of any other age restriction. But I might be wrong.
Yeah, because and I think he's referring to what's happened with Mitch McConnell. We have a lot of 80-year-olds in office. And listen, I don't want to be ageist at all because my mother's 87. And listen, she can run circles around my friends and my younger friends, other people, okay? And
Yeah,
she,
you know, don't get on the age. You know, don't dog the age just because McConnell can't handle it. Let me one of our most effective politicians in North Carolina
uh-huh.
was is Mickey Michelle,
Mhm.
who is certainly a senior and is agile, focused, and rambunctious and vibrant in his efforts even today since he has retired.
Mhm.
So
I
we,
was
we
with
ought
him
not,
the
yeah, we ought
last,
not just
yeah.
dog people because of their age, because otherwise they'll be coming to get me.
Yeah, right. And you know what, Professor Joyner, that's the thing. You have to, I think that like in the case of Diane Feinstein, I think that there's a point where you know that if you're uh if you're having some issues, you have to know when to say when, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I think that's really the issue because most people don't want to stay somewhere forever. There are some people who are demonstrating a decline. I feel like as long as people are not demonstrating a decline, there's nothing wrong with it. But I do feel it's important that when people reach a certain age, that you are looking to groom others behind you. I just think that in leadership, that's what a good leader does. You
Yep.
know, yeah.
I agree. And along the way, I would certainly encourage those younger folks who are out there to step up.
Mm-hmm.
Be the force that you want others to be for you.
Right,
And so they need to step up, and they need to get the younger generation together, the 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds, and help them
right,
to prepare to take on some leadership
right.
within our communities.
That's right. That's right. I totally agree with that. And Stephen says, I think so many of us have grown disenchanted and don't want to participate in the democratic process. Well, here's the thing, don't complain if you're not going to do something about it because those are the main people who don't want to participate are the biggest mouths complaining about what didn't happen and who didn't do this or whatever. Well, listen, it's time for me to transition to this other aspect of our conversation is on racial violence. Um, we've always had it, Professor Jordan. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, America is violent, period. Period. And so it's like Trump activated people to openly say and do hateful acts against one another. Remember, he would talk about it all the time. Don't be so nice to them when you arrest them. You know how you cover, he said, you know how you cover their head when they get into the car? He says, don't do that. Just push them in there. That kind of. So the murder of the Emmanuel Nine by a very young Dylan Roof still haunts me. Um, because I am AME, and I'm very familiar with the Mother Emanuel AME Church there
Mhm.
in South Carolina. Those parishioners, they were killed because he was starting. He said, Billy Roof said, because he was starting the impending race war, and this is something that was indoctrinated in him online. At first, I thought, what is this? This is like really crazy. I said, this is a 21-year-old kid. No, Dylan was, I don't know, how old was Dylan? Was he 20?
I
He
think
was
he was 20, I
yeah,
think.
12. And just ruined his life because he believed in this stuff. And then the 21-year-old in Jacksonville, Florida, said essentially he had his stuff written out. And the only difference between he and Dylan is that he went to a open public space and killed people. And but he did kill himself. What do you think, Professor, about this racial violence and the uptick of it in our country?
Well, I think that we have to deal with it. We have to recognize that it is there, and it is exhibited in so many different forms,
Mm-hmm,
from police violence against racial minorities
mm-hmm,
to the what I call the Confederate attacks
mm-hmm,
on our community, looking at racists, that are in this country who are seeking every opportunity that they can to visit violence upon racial minorities, particularly African Americans. We have to be aware that it exists
mm-hmm,
and that we need to protect ourselves against it. Same token, we also have within our own races too much initiated violence directed toward particularly young people who are
mm-hmm,
killing each other.
mm-hmm,
And we need to have someone to step forward to stop that. Because if we are killing ourselves and
mm-hmm,
we have young people out there who have no regards for the life and safety of people in our neighborhoods, somebody needs to deal with them because they'll get a pass because they are doing the work of those people who are out to disenfranchise us. So
mm-hmm,
we have a two-way battle
mm-hmm,
going on where we have to defend ourselves against those from the outside that want to cause harm or death to us, as well as misguided folks on the inside who end up doing the same thing, not necessarily for the same reason, but for insane reasons that they are engaged in. So there's a lot of things that we have to take into consideration, but we need to address both of them, and we need to address both of them in an aggressive manner.
yeah, I I don't know. It's when we couldn't even pass our gun control wall after um the Sandy Hook. I didn't know. I mean,
Yeah, but Pam, listen, that horse is out of the barn.
yeah.
You have more guns in America than you have people. In fact, you have 4 or 5 times as many guns as
Mm-hmm,
you have people in this country.
mm-hmm,
So the continuing fight to enact laws to prevent people from buying guns,
mm-hmm,
the guns are already bought. They are
mm-hmm,
already found in people's homes and hidden there already. So we have to come up with some strategies to keep people from using those guns in a manner that's not supportive of our continuing existence in this country.
mm-hmm,
And we certainly need to be in a position that we can protect ourselves from those people who would use guns against us.
mm-hmm,
Because if we don't, we become sitting targets for people. and they will recognize that, and they will just feel emboldened to come into our neighborhoods and do whatever it is that they want to do. So we need to have some serious conversations among ourselves about how do we protect ourselves from this physical danger, these violent trends on the parts of many segments of the American public that's not favorable to us. And until then, we're going to have, when people are scared, are afraid to go to church, they are afraid to go to school, they are afraid to go into Dollar General, they are afraid to go into Food Lion. When that is the prevailing notion in our community, we are in trouble in trying to get people to be actively involved in community activities to enrich and empower our people.
Okay. So a question came, do you think that there are enough of us, I'm assuming enough Black folks, to make a difference? And I think,
I do.
yeah, I do
I
too.
do.
I do
I
too.
do. I do. All we need is for those people who care to step up and
Right,
step out.
right,
We talk about we show up and show out. It's
right,
time to do that.
right. I'm going to tell Stephen to please come on online, come on the platform. Let's see, because his comments are kind of long, and yeah, okay, Stephen. I hope you see. I put in the chat for you to come up. Mark says some people think that we have two 80-year-old somethings for president. Haley called the senator the biggest nursing home, the Senate, the biggest nursing home around. She's got to be, she's playing both ends of the middle. I mean, she's a trip. What do you think of that Indian guy that's running Ramas? I don't know Mr. R. I can't think of his name. He's very provocative, extremely provocative.
What do they say? They talk about this thing, talking loud and saying nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that you give people with loud mouths a forum, a megaphone that they can get out there with no accomplishments or anything behind them that they can count on, and they use these opportunities to promote themselves because this is a way that they can hustle some money on the side. And so we have to recognize them when they show up and call them out for what they are. And I think that he is just one of those, because politics is a hustle for many people, and it
Right.
is a way that they can enrich themselves or glorify themselves without a portfolio on which that they can establish their value to this democratic process.
I agree. Totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. Let's see. Stephen is talking about term limits. I totally agree with that. I do think that there needs to be something, because I think we owe it to ourselves to get something fresh in. I mean, because we do it in companies all the time, you know.
Yeah.
There's a natural attrition of things. Let's see. White supremacists have been waiting 60 years. The teachers, mentor. 60 years for the moment. Our community has known it as well, liberals and progressives. But now we act like this was unexpected. We are 12% of the population and alone on this island in 2023. Oh.
Excellent point.
Yeah.
Excellent point.
I was trying to get Stephen to come up and say this instead of us reading it. We can't have those tough intra-racial discussions anymore. Only Brother Farrakhan can safely negotiate that space that space with being scorned. That's a good point.
Yeah, but we need to do it. We need to do it. We need to do it. We need to step up and step out, and we need to show that we are not only a force within our community, but we are
Mhm.
also a force to protect our community. We don't have a choice.
Yeah,
We can't sit back, and just talk among ourselves. We need to get out among people in our community to help them to see that there is a way that we can ensure justice, freedom, and equality in this country. And if we don't do that, then shame on us.
right.
But there's already shame on the others because they are aggressively engaged in efforts to get to us and to take away the little power that we think we have.
Mm. Mark is telling us that that dude Vivek Rashachami, wherever his name is, has ties to North Carolina and Glaxo. Oh,
Okay.
oh God, we don't need another person connected to North Carolina with drama. We got Mark Meadows. That's enough.
And your lieutenant governor as well.
Oh,
Uh,
Stephen, I said I dropped the chat in the. I dropped the link in the chat. You didn't see it. You didn't see the link, Stephen. Let me see. I dropped it in the chat.
well, while you're talking with him, Pam, let me just say to our
Oh
audience
yeah,
that,
please.
yeah, we need to engage in efforts to protect our one of the two African Americans on the North Carolina Supreme Court that
Right.
is presently under attack. It is an attack without foundation in a
Mhm.
forum that is already designed to undermine her position and to remove her from where from the position that she was elected to be in.
I have
And
the article to show people so they can see her picture and everything. Hold on, Professor Joyner. Because he is talking about Professor Joyner is talking about none other than Justice Earls. Hold on. Okay. Here it is. Can you see it?
yes,
Okay. Here
yeah.
she remarks on
and
the
and 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 she is saying what needs to be said
yeah.
because her observations are on point, they
Mm-hmm.
are accurate, and
Mm-hmm.
because she is in a position to articulate this the reality that's present in this country and in this state, they are those who are trying to make sure that she is not able to survive the remainder of her term on the North Carolina Supreme Court. So we need to come to her aid, to her defense,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to also help to prepare for her to run again when her term expires,
When does
because we need her on this court.
when does her term
Uh,
expire, you
I
think?
think it's 2 years from now.
Oh wow, they're trying to get her off already, and she's got two.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a prayer for her today, at church. Professor Reverend Pastor J, and then laid hands on her and prayed for her. I tell you, it's just it's something.
Never
It,
stops.
it
It never
stops.
stops.
Yeah, never stops. Okay, guys. So that's what you that picture that you just saw is Justice Anita Earls here of North Carolina that is being treated very badly and had to file a lawsuit just to make it known that she was being treated unfairly and racial bias. Yeah. It was another question. I am a big CCW advocate. What does CCW mean? I don't know.
Carry concealed weapons.
Oh, okay. Okay. Do we have any younger people to carry the torch after we sacrifice in this incoming war? Lord have mercy, Greta, Soror, Lord.
We have to build them up. We have to build them up. We have to take them when they're young and help them to see where we are in this country and what the impact is on them, and then what they need to do
Mhm,
to ensure their survival
mhm,
going forward. That's a responsibility that we have, and we won't have any young people to carry the torch unless we help them see that they are
mhm.
capable of carrying the torch and that there's a need for them to do so.
Right. How, Mark, how safe are sanctuary cities from a legal standpoint? Durham, of course. Durham, North Carolina is a sanctuary city.
Yeah, it depends on who is in charge of the cities. If you have political independence in the city, then they can make that determination and can enforce
Mhm,
that determination. At some point, that is going to be challenged, and where that challenge exists, we're going to have to be able to step up or be willing to step up to fight for its continuation.
mm, 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 mm. Okay. So, Stephen, you didn't see I'm gonna try this link one more time. Uh, Steve. Okay, Steve, I'm about to hit it. The link. I put it. Okay. Do you see it? You know what? I wonder, does it's supposed to show up because he is communicating with us on LinkedIn, and it's supposed to from StreamYard, it's supposed to populate wherever I'm streaming to. So it should show up in the stream part of LinkedIn. Do you see it, Stephen? Stephen, you still on? Mark, I know you can see it because you're on. Loretta, do you see the link, the StreamYard link that I just put in the chat? Somebody tell me yes or no if they see the StreamYard link in the chat that I put in. Just so I'm curious. It might be something. Oh, she doesn't see it. Mark sees it, but see, Mark is on YouTube. But I thought it was supposed to. Okay, everybody from YouTube is seeing it. But I thought it was going to everybody. It was supposed to, anyways, y'all. Okay. Well, anyways, Professor Joyner, as usual, it's always a pleasure having you. Always. And I thank you
And
for joining me on a holiday weekend to
well,
make up
okay, thank you for the invitation, and I enjoyed being here. And
for
obviously, we're going to have more discussions moving forward. But thank
yeah.
you for this opportunity, and thank you, guests, all of
Oh,
your listeners, for all of the great points that they made. And
yes.
keep on supporting Pam.
Thank you guys so much. So I think you know what I'm gonna have to do is see where this I just have learned something about when I drop something in the chat, it may not be going to each of the streams that it's supposed to be going to. Because Stephen was trying to get on, and I guess I would have had to go to LinkedIn directly, but I shouldn't have had to. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. You guys have a great and safe Labor Day, and I'm going to enjoy my birthday tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you,
Okay, though. See y'all now.
everyone. Take care.